Let's see. So we'll be calling the meeting to order at, where'd my phone go? 9:01. And Ken, would you mind giving us a roll call?
Ms. Whiteside, Ms. Corbett, Mr. Butler, and myself, Ken Buckland. We have a quorum.
Okay, Ken, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Whiteside, Ms. Corbett, for joining us today. I'd like to thank Wareham Media for covering today's meeting of the Wareham Redevelopment Authority. It is Thursday, February 27th, a little after 9 in the morning. And we have a chock full agenda today, so I'll dive right in, but I want to make sure that I don't cause any problems for anybody that has a hard stop. Ms. Whiteside, do you have a hard stop today?
I do.
What time?
In 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Do you really?
It's worth a
I
try.
really need to be out of here by 10:15. I have an agenda that I really have to.
10:15. All right, ma'am, we will,
Sorry,
your colleagues and I will endeavor to get us out of here by 10:15.
sounds like camp.
Ken, did you have a hard stop any sooner than that, or Sarah?
No,
No? Okay.
11:30.
Okay. All right, well, let's dive right in then. I don't see any residents. Authority business. Let me give a quick recap of what happened on Monday. And I'm basically telling you all what you saw happen on Monday, so I won't go into a lot of detail, but I will
I didn't see
say.
it.
Sorry?
I didn't see it.
I know you didn't, but that's why I'm doing it, so that you can hear what happened, Ken. It was pretty neat. We had a good turnout. I'd say double what we had the first workshop.
Oh, really? Great.
I counted 22. I don't know if you counted more, but at one point I
I'd have
counted
to look at
22.
the sign-in sheet, but it was noticeably more, like probably realistically around double from last time. And I think that one of the big pluses, from my opinion, was the fact that a lot more business owners showed up besides Kendall and Leanne. Like the first meeting, it was literally only Kendall and Leanne, right?
Kendall, Leanne, and Danny, and the property owner,
yeah,
Michael
Danny.
Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
So word has
Send me
gotten
a
around.
copy of that sign-in sheet.
Do you
I got it
have
right
it?
here.
Yeah, because I wanted to write the minutes. I'm gonna
Oh, okay.
attach the
You want
attendance
this?
list.
Okay, I'll give it to you after we're all done. Yeah, I'd like to echo what Connor was just saying. We had more business owners. We had Ivy Wellness, 2 representatives
Yeah.
of that business.
Where is that business located?
Not yet.
Oh, it hasn't
So-
started.
It's a not yet.
Okay.
But they're supposed to be, do you know where Ebb and Flow, the massage parlor is, kind of behind Toby on Church Street?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So they're supposed to be going right next to them, allegedly.
Okay.
Yeah, we also had Verilife represented. We had
Yeah.
Ann Margaret Jerome, local CPA, was there, and and Legacy Insurance was there as well. So I thought it was a good turnout. As Connor said, about double the number of businesses that we had before. Linda Gay also joined us from the Community Events Committee, and she made some significant contributions to the discussion. And to highlight what we accomplished, I'd say we really nailed it down 24 May for the Oyster Festival. We received updates that Lorna Brunel, who will be organizing that, is meeting with the fire department and the police department on 11 March. Mr. Alan Slavin gave us some good news. He's already obtained a commitment from Gator that they will provide shuttles.
No,
to-
he hasn't yet.
Oh, I thought didn't he say that?
He's working on it. He has not yet confirmed it.
Oh, he's working on it, okay.
And it's Gatra,
And
sorry.
it's GATRA.
Not Gator, Gatra.
Not Gator? Oh, I like Gator.
Gatra.
Greater Attleboro
GATRA.
Taunton Regional Authority.
Gatra, that's how they
Gatra.
pronounce it, huh?
Uh-huh.
So-
Even
okay.
if you're from New England.
Soft A, Gatra, got it. We also kind of bookended the season with an agreement that we should try to organize an Oktoberfest.
It's on the calendar for October 4th. She's already promoting it.
Good. October 4th was the date we talked about and the date we were able to get Lorna to commit to.
Yeah.
When you look at Lorna's schedule, I'm surprised we got her for 2 dates at all. I mean, she's one busy lady.
Yeah, we had to finagle, but yeah. Mhm.
But, so that was good news. And in essence, we got commitments from Lorna and from Warren's Harborview to effectively sponsor that Oktoberfest and
So
organize it.
here's the date is wrong, but that's what she's got out there so far.
She's already got it out there.
Oh, yeah,
Well, what
There-
date does it say?
it says the 6th, but it's the 4th, it should be the 4th.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
but she knows that, yeah.
They also have a video up already. I haven't seen it, but a video for the 24 March Oyster Festival.
Oh, yeah.
too.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, no, she doesn't
24th
fool
May.
around. 24th of May.
Oh, you've seen it?
24th May,
Yeah.
right?
What did
Not
I
March.
say? 24 May, sorry.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it now.
No, it's fabulous.
Another thing we talked about was if we have May and October as bookends, what do we do in the middle of the summer, if anything? We talked about a seafood festival in July. I don't think we can count on Lorna to help with that. I looked at her schedule that you sent, and she is chock-a-block all through July, so.
What about a car show? We got people that organize that.
There's a little bit of discussion about the car show, but and I
Seems
don't think
like-
that's going anywhere, to be honest with you. It may be part of what's going on in Onset. Although I think you mentioned it could be a problem this year in Onset.
It's not,
Parking.
yeah, they can no longer use Lopes Field as a parking lot for anybody or anything. It's
Why would that impact the car show?
because that's where they had it.
The car show that I saw was on the pier.
The ones, they've had car shows, they've had parking, et cetera, on Lopes Field, which is why it looks like a racetrack.
Okay.
It is not happening anymore. That's part of the requirements of the park grant.
Mhm.
Should have also been a requirement forever. So the parking is an issue
For the car show.
for anything, for any festival they have.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
used Lopes Field for
Cape Verdean Festival.
Cape
all day long,
Verdean, for
yeah.
the Jazz Fest or whatever it's called, for, you name it, they used it.
Mm.
Not happening. And they all have been notified.
Yeah, we didn't go into a lot of detail on a car show, whether it would be a standalone event, Ken, or an appendage to one of the other festivals. We're leaving that in Alan Slavin's capable hands if he wants to try to organize that. We did talk a little bit about what happens going forward. This was the second workshop that we organized and led. We agreed to do a third one a week from Monday. And I think at some point, we're gonna have to hand the baton off from the WRA to somebody else to keep the momentum going. I'm encouraged because on the margins of the meeting we had on Monday, I happened to be in a position to overhear Danny Warren and Kendall Peabody chat a little bit about a Wareham Business Association. And they seem more and more interested in that. Derek, how are you? Sorry, sir. We decided to launch.
You should, yeah. So I'm gonna sit over here. I'm waiting for the letter.
Okay, there's your agenda and your minutes there if you want them.
That's what you
Danny
get for
called me-
eating disgusting fast food from Rhode Island.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was that.
Is that your breakfast?
It was my daughter's birthday wish.
The record will show that Mr. Sullivan arrived at
9:09,
9:09, sorry.
write it down.
Yeah, Danny Warren called me yesterday and wanted to talk a little bit more about a Wareham Business Association. He had a gentleman with him. They had been talking about it. He wants to bring that gentleman to the next workshop in a week from Monday. And then I met with Kendall Peabody, the owner of the Lucky Goat, yesterday. Kendall, I wanted to hear his thoughts on it, and he's very interested in getting it going.
Great.
We even reviewed sample documentation that you need to file as a nonprofit, a 501c with the state of Massachusetts, like what the mission might be. So I think he's starting to crystallize in his own mind what a WBA might look like and how it might carry on when we've tried to get going here.
Excellent.
How about a WNBA? Where are your new business associates?
There you go.
Sorry.
You're always very funny in the morning.
You could do the Wareham Association of Associations.
Yeah.
So,
That's all I have for my recap.
I liked the meeting. It was very good. I was really glad I made it. And Kendall was very impressive. I'm glad that you're encouraging him and that he is fired up. For the next meeting, what's the method of outreach? How have you been contacting people and letting them know that it's happening?
I've done some direct outreach, just
Mhm.
with phone calls or text messages, reminding people that we have a workshop. Monday at Danny's, nice desserts, good coffee,
Mhm.
don't miss it. I think Connor's been doing some outreach to the business owners on Main Street. I know Ms. Whiteside, you've contacted some people directly and encouraged them to come, haven't you?
I don't encourage them to come, I tell them to
Oh.
come. My style is slightly different than everybody else's.
Okay.
Sorry.
Because General Whiteside
Yes.
has been doing some outreach. But I don't know that we've done anything more formal than that. Connor, do you have anything to add? Is there more we plan to do for the next one?
Right now, no, I think last time everything spread by word of mouth, more or less. I know we have been doing some light outreach, but I think we were really aggressive for the first one in terms of reaching out to people directly through email or phone, and that was the one that had like the least amount of people show up. But I think it's kind of snowballing a little bit.
Mhm.
Word of mouth getting around, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when
but I
Danny
s-
talked to me
I think there should
yesterday.
be follow-up.
Sorry?
I think there should be follow-up.
Yeah, I was
I mean,
honestly
I would
going
put you
into the
back on the
second.
phone and call everybody that was on the list and say, gee, we'd really like to see you this time. You
Yeah.
know, give them a week's notice, call them today or tomorrow and get them out there the next time.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Run back through the list.
And I'll give you the latest sign-in sheet too with the new phone numbers we
Perfect.
got. And a couple of the people that came to the first one were actually traveling and out of the area, so they weren't able to make it. Danny told me when we were chatting yesterday, he actually had a business owner come to him and complain that he was having to find out about it, word of mouth, and wanted to be at these workshops. So I think that's actually a good thing, that people are belly aching that they're not hearing about it and they want to hear about it and they want to come. So
I'm wondering if we should make it public, kind of like we did for the waterfront project here, and just do like a quick flyer and post that on the
just come over here.
multi-service center and here on the door. Again, just tape it with the date and the time.
What about something to the newspaper, like a press
Yeah, we could
release?
do that.
What
We
about
could.
having them run a crawl?
Tell everybody it's a secret, it'll spread quick.
That's exactly right.
So you're looking for the
Thank you,
business owners or general public?
Business owners,
Business
so
owners.
Even
like
if you
something
do
in the
that, you're
paper
gonna
might
get
be
more
too,
general public than business owners.
Yeah.
that's true, yeah.
I think you need to get back on the phone. Or knock on doors.
Yeah,
Knock on doors is much more effective. It's really hard to say no to somebody in your face.
Just tell them Judith sent you.
yeah. That's how you get kicked out the door quick.
Bring a small baseball bat. Anything else?
No.
Sarah?
Keep going, you can
Uh,
keep on there.
One thing for Ken, I think Ken would be encouraged. I think Ken would be encouraged that something called Downtown Dollars came up at the meeting on Monday. And Kendall brought up how he thought it'd be a good idea to get some kind of an incentive program going to help bring patrons to the businesses on Main Street. Judith reminded us that Downtown Dollars was a topic of conversation here at the WRA about a year ago. And that was kind of basically it. We didn't take it anywhere beyond that, but I thought I'd bring that up, Ken, for you and for Connor, if you wanted to flesh that out a little bit more than we did before, because there may be an appetite for it that wasn't there a year ago. Ethan,
Hi there.
nice to see you here.
Nice to see you too, sorry I'm late.
Ethan, there's an agenda there that is for Wareham Week.
Perfect. Thank you.
Ethan Hunt, everybody, ace reporter for the Wareham Week. Thank you, Ethan, for joining us today.
Thank you, Mr. Butler.
Ethan, what you just missed was a recap of the workshop we did on Monday over at Danny Warren's place, but if you want, feel free, we can chat after this meeting.
Gotcha.
Connor can fill you in, or Ms. Whiteside or Ms. Corbett could help you out.
Perfect.
And
So, Mr. Chairman, just sort of when you're talking about sort of the downtown dollars, things like that, have any of the merchants done anything to incentivize the employees from Toby, which is their biggest probably section of people to draw from downtown? Have they done anything, reach out, give them discounts or something to make it attractive for them to come?
What a good idea.
I don't know,
The-
you mean like stick stuff up on their bulletin board or give special deals to nurses and doctors? And-
Yeah, I mean, there's people, we know that people use as a nice walking route, Main Street, go up, whether it's up Cedar or what, through High, coming down, so they're using the area to walk. There should be you can do some other attractions to capture them. It is all within walking distance from the hospital.
What I didn't realize was they got rid of their cafeteria.
Correct.
So that's huge.
Oh, they did?
Oh, yeah, they got rid of their cafeteria, so people are either bringing their lunch or looking for lunch.
Going hungry.
Yeah. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I don't know, I would think a small businessman with a nice restaurant downtown would be trying to capture some of that
Right.
clientele. But Ken, I don't know if maybe that's something we wanna develop further again and put on a future agenda. I know you did a lot of work on it
Sure.
before.
Yeah, it's easy to set up as well too.
And we might have an organization, if this WBA gets off the ground, that could be the locus for it or the place that keeps track of it, or I'm not sure how that would work, but
That's something we can discuss about who organizes it, and who runs it, yeah.
right. Yeah, if I remember, didn't you give us an example of San Antonio and didn't they have some sort of a downtown business district to improve?
There are a lot
their
more local
organization?
examples of that as well too.
Yeah,
Are there?
there's one
Okay.
in Massachusetts. Fitchburg or something.
Yeah, Pittsburgh is one.
Now, I'll put that on a future agenda, and I think maybe at our next workshop, a week from Monday, I'll throw it out there again, just to keep the idea percolating a little bit. And maybe we even set up a little table off to the side where people can come over and see whatever you might be able to print out that'll give them some idea or a way to tangibly understand the concept and how it might help revitalize downtown.
Sure.
But we can talk about that a little
You want
further.
that ready for next Monday as well too?
Yeah, if you don't mind, do you think that
Yeah.
we could have that ready?
The Monday after next.
Monday after next, right?
Right.
Okay, will you be able to?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay. Well, I know you have the planning board
So
meeting
March
on
10th,
Mondays,
is
right?
that what we're talking
Yeah,
about?
every other Monday, second and fourth Mondays.
So that would be a planning board night.
Yeah,
what-
March,
is,
yeah, you don't wanna do that.
Yeah,
well, maybe Connor can carry the ball on this one then.
could be, yeah, sure.
Just an update on the use of downtown dollars and what
Downtown
that could
dollars.
potentially look like for us.
Right.
Okay, yeah, Ken and I can talk more about it and then I can update on
Okay.
Monday.
Great. Anything else, anybody on the workshop and what came out of that?
Yeah, I would just say like the main points that I took out of it was that a lot of the business owners, or the impression that I got from a lot of business owners, was that it's easier to have a third party, in this case Lorna, come and kind of take the responsibility for organizing the events, and they're still part of it and have their input. But I think it was a lot more appealing for them to have this third party come in, kind of handle all of the planning and event setup and stuff like that. And even though the business owners are gonna be involved, whether that's sponsoring or having their own area, I also think that they like to hear that Lorna is bringing 70, 100 vendors with her. So there was no real like pushback from the businesses. And yeah, like Dan said, Kendall seems to be a front runner for kind of getting on the Wareham Business Association or whatever that ends up being named. And I think that Kendall would be a lot better than Danny to spearhead it, just because I think Danny is very involved with the town already. And in that note, I think one thing that you didn't mention is that Danny on May 24th had said that he was planning on keeping the restaurant closed, supposedly at a loss to him. I think that that is positive, because some of the feedback that I've had from the public is that, yeah, I think word has gotten out that there's going to be this sip and stroll like event, but some of the feedback that I had gotten is that, oh, this event is only being put on to promote Danny Warren's new place. And I think that him kind of coming forward without being prompted from us and saying, yeah, I'm gonna close the restaurant on that day, that's like a act of good faith.
Yeah, that's a good point. I asked Danny about that yesterday when I was talking to him, and I said, no, I was surprised that you said you're gonna close the restaurant. And he said, no, I want the event to be a big success. I don't want to compete with it.
Mm.
I want the vendors there to benefit from all the foot traffic. So I thought that was pretty magnanimous of him.
Yeah, that's it from my end.
That's it? Okay, Connor, thank you. Let's jump next to discussion of possible vote on Wareham Redevelopment Authority's Wareham storefront revitalization strategy and Wareham's application to participate in Massachusetts vacant storefronts program. I think everybody had a chance to look at version 1 of Connor's draft, the storefront revitalization strategy. And I'll open the floor to anybody that has a comment on it or wants to react to it or give Connor some constructive feedback. Anybody?
It's a great job. That was a very good, well put together document and certainly support it 100%.
Ms. Whiteside? What did you think?
I thought it was great until the dog stepped on it with her wet feet. And then I couldn't read it anymore.
I
No,
have an extra copy here for you.
No, it's good. I think the real issue is buy-in.
Yeah.
And how do you encourage buy-in? Because you can't make people do anything.
Yeah.
And, you know, I thought we had already evidenced interest to the state for the program, right?
Right, we put a letter of interest into the state and they said that we qualified.
Right. So now it's up to those 5 businesses or whatever to do their thing.
Yeah, well, part of that is getting the word out again about that we have vacancies that there's a monetary incentive, yeah, to come and use those storefronts. But that still doesn't mean that the storefront is in good shape or appropriate for the businesses that are there.
And as I understand it, Ken, this strategy that you've crafted, this is part of the justification for the grant?
That's correct.
I think one thing I liked about it was well-written. It was clear on what the objectives were. It said that we, the WRA, intend to have some skin in the game. It basically said we're paying for an intern to spearhead the collaboration with property owners and prospective businesses that might move into a vacant storefront. It showed that we're committed, which hopefully will help with the grant application. That was basically my reaction. I thought it was very well done and it was clever of you to leap on this. And the only feedback I had in terms of constructive feedback was I had a few minor edits, Connor, I'd like to give to you.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I wondered why we only had 5 storefronts listed there when we actually have several others down there. Scarlet Rose is a good example. That's now a vacant storefront.
Well, for the requirements for the program, the storefront had to have been vacant for 6 or 12 or more months. I know that's a big gap, but Scarlet Rose wouldn't have qualified.
Okay, so those are the only ones that did qualify, those 5? Okay, great. After the meeting, I'll just give this to you, and if you want to make a few minor changes, then I like it. I don't know what's holding it up now, if we like it. And I'm assuming if Mr. Buckland is happy with it, then you can go ahead and launch.
Good. I think just one note, conversation that Ken and I had since our last meeting. In the plan, we had said that for larger properties, we would do 10,000 from the credits, and for smaller properties, 5,000.
10,000, yeah.
Yeah, up to 10,000. But we were looking at some of the guidelines of the program again, and potentially, like, let's say only out of these 5 properties, one of the properties, we find a business that wants to move in there and the property owner that actually wants a business coming in there or has been receptive to the program. If they're out of all of these, we only have one business, then potentially we could allocate all $50,000 of the tax credits to that one business.
Okay. Wow, that'd be a lot. That'd be a big incentive. How
Is
would
this
you?
per year? So then the following year,
It's in
It would start all over
2026 only, is my
It's a
understanding.
one year deal,
Yeah.
Oh,
Piggy bank evaporates in a year?
yeah.
I think you need to discuss that with the assessors. I think you need to discuss tax credits with the assessors. If it's coming off the tax bill.
Is it our tax bill?
Maybe a state tax bill.
Yeah, it's state, it's
Oh,
not
okay.
us.
All right,
It's with the Economic
so
Advisory
there's-
Council
it's-
of
okay.
of the state.
all right,
So this is nothing with us collecting
Okay.
or doing any,
No, we don't have to do anything. All we're doing is offering the tax credits to those who wanna come in.
putting them into the system, then we're basically, are we collecting the information, providing it to the state or
Yeah,
the state the one?
Yeah, we have to meet with the EACC, Economic Advisory Council, to make the case for the tax credits.
Right, I'm talking about, this is the, this is what, we get it, right? Everybody high fives, pop the champagne, yada, yada, yada. What's after that? What's our responsibility?
Well, we have to go try to find some businesses that'll
Yeah,
come
we
in.
found the businesses, everything's good, everything's, you know, that's more high fives, maybe.
Then we go with them to the EACC and advocate for the granting of the tax credits for the business.
Right,
Yeah.
and then what happens? That's what I'm asking, how do they get the money? What do they have, what do we have to do after that? Do we have to
We
do
don't have to do
anything?
anything.
Perfect.
If I might,
Yeah, Jim.
people hear tax credits and you kind of, in your conversation just now, said the same thing. It's like somebody's handing you a check for 10,000 or 50 grand.
It's really just a
That's
tax
not,
credit.
that's not the way it works. You have to have a $50,000 tax liability, you have to owe 50,000 in taxes. And all you do is get it off what you owe, so.
Right.
You know, it's just like we found $80 billion, oh no, wait a minute, it was 8 billion, no, wait a minute, it was 8 million. So it sounds good when it's a soundbite, 50 grand sounds great, but you gotta find a storefront that's got $5,000 or $10,000 worth of tax liability. And there aren't a lot of fledgling businesses that have a $5,000 or $10,000
Well, it's
tax
for,
liability.
First
look at
year.
the property owner.
it's for the, no, it's not, to the point. It's for specific tax credits, or could this be meals tax collection? Cause that's a big one, if it's meals tax, that's when you'll ramp that up pretty quickly on collections of that. And this is credits, if I'm just looking at, they actually reduce the amount of taxes due, not your income liability, that's why credits are better than deductions. So,
Refundable.
and do they use that over a series of years, or is it just 1 year?
Just 1 year.
So that's a good point. If the business, a brand new fledgling business goes into one of these storefronts and they make $6,000 that year after expenses, they won't have much of a tax liability to apply the credit to. But if it's another business that's established and scaling, opening a branch, say, on Main Street, that business may have a huge tax liability, and this might be a big incentive for them. So that might affect how we market it. I did have a question about that smaller businesses, larger businesses in the document here, and I think unless we define that, what we mean by smaller and larger, we ought to just keep it to businesses. We have 5 storefronts, $50,000, it evaporates in a year. Why not just keep it simple, $10,000 per storefront?
Sounds like our first entity might be a business accountant. That would be the one going down there to try and advise the others on it.
But I think that kind of refinement might be something that you want to work on a little bit, Connor and Ken, and then when you're comfortable with it, I'd say launch, but I think the general sentiment is we don't wanna leave money on the table. If we can use all $50,000 to support new businesses or scaling businesses coming on Main Street, then we
What we gotta
should.
do now is find those businesses.
Mm.
What we gotta do now is find those businesses, come in.
Right.
And that means outreach.
Right. Well, and I know that you've started to do some of that with Discover Wareham, and I commend you, Connor, for taking that step. You're right, I don't know what you would do next, but maybe talk to the commercial real estate brokers in the area that go looking for those clients.
One strategy is to find successful businesses in other locations and to ask them if they wanted to have another site, if they want to expand their business.
Okay. As I read this, basically, we're giving that job to Connor. That's the way I read it. Was I reading too much
Yeah,
between the
I'm
lines?
happy to do it, so.
Okay.
Good, yeah, I mean, just in terms of businesses that we're targeting, I think that one good prospect that we would have already is shared office space. I'm not sure if we talked about this last time, but there are a few companies that already have a history of expanding in southern Massachusetts or southeastern Massachusetts, and I think that an office sharing space, especially because there's supposed to be some kind of high-speed internet that's more recent, like fiber optic internet for Main Street, that you could also market that to these office sharing spaces.
Good point, good point.
You're talking about Open Cape that runs behind it, the backbone?
Sorry?
Are you talking
Yeah,
about Open
right.
Cape? Yeah.
Yeah,
Open Cape runs behind it, the backbone going down to the Cape.
Mm.
Yeah, it runs right down Merchant's Way, if I
Yeah.
remember. So it's easy to tie into that.
Open Cape is how it's called?
Okay. And
We'll
they already
see.
have
I don't think
drops
they've
to the fire
rebranded.
department and somebody else down there, might be the bank.
the
Oh, it's the
hospital.
Hospital,
Hospital,
yeah.
yeah. That's a good point. You might also wanna look at the Cape Cod Canal Chamber of Commerce and talk to Marie Oliver.
I was gonna bring that up, yeah.
She'd be a great source. You show this to her and she'll have 8,000 good ideas.
Mhm.
May know businesses that are looking for a good spot, and that kind of incentive might be all it takes to tip them in our direction.
Good.
Okay, any other discussion on that topic?
A few clarifying questions, if I may.
Yes, yeah, hi Ethan.
Hi. One is, I just wanna make it clear, the tax credit would apply to the business owner and not the property owner.
Right, is that right, Ken? The tax credit goes to the new business owner coming into the storefront, not to the property owner that has the vacant storefront.
I'm not sure.
Do we want to do this offline after with so they can get you the
Yeah,
information?
yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
we'll clarify that for you,
Yeah,
Ethan.
absolutely. And then I had one more, which I can wait if this is not the time
No, go
to
ahead.
do this.
Go ahead.
On January 21st, the select board approved Mr. El Khalasi to move into 274 Main Street, which is one vacant storefront. I'm not sure, it's not one of the 5 listed, but I'm curious if that business, which is I think a burger place, will fall under the purview of this.
Yes, that
program.
would.
That would, okay.
Is that one of the properties you had listed?
No,
I'd have to look again.
274,
Nazi wasn't listed as an owner.
Yeah, it's not, it's one that I wrote in though.
Hmm.
Because that has been vacant for a long time. Okay, Ethan, thank you, good question.
Yeah, of course.
Let's jump to the next item on the agenda, discussion of possible vote on potential opportunity to collaborate and partner with Wareham High School DECA. That stands for Distributive Education Clubs of America. The high school chapter, DECA chapter here in Wareham on implementation of the WRA Wareham Storefront Revitalization Strategy and other Wareham Village revitalization efforts. At the recommendation of a lady who was at the first workshop 3 weeks ago, who had experience with DECA, had a student who had gone through DECA, was a graduate of DECA, I subsequently discovered Kendall Peabody also went through DECA in high school. I did some homework. I didn't know anything about DECA until it was brought to my attention. It looked like the recommendation I got might be a very good one, which was let's reach out to DECA, see if they can perhaps collaborate with us to try to achieve what we're striving to achieve here with the revitalization of downtown Wareham. We have a pretty neat strategy here that somebody like Connor will be taking the lead on, but maybe a sharp DECA student could also help with marketing, promoting empty storefronts. So I called Lisa Cunha, the faculty advisor for DECA at Wareham High School. She was very enthusiastic on the phone. I can't wait to meet her in person. She was very effusive regarding the students that are in DECA and how they might be able to help with what we're trying to do, how it might be a marriage made in heaven. What we agreed to was that Connor and I would come and talk to her class, a project management class of 13 students, juniors and seniors, who have been doing this for a while and are accomplished when it comes to DECA. Apparently they compete regionally and around the country and around the world at business leadership type competitions. And we're just waiting now to get a date from Lisa on when we can go do that. So I just wanted to make you aware of that one of the good things that came out of the first workshop was a great suggestion from a resident who had kids that went through the school. She believed in our potential, was very much excited about revitalizing Wareham Village. And she said, where have you been? You should have been talking to these guys a long time ago. She was right. So I'm gonna, Connor and I will be following up on that and we'll report back at a future meeting. Next item. Discussion and possible vote on WRA sponsorship of a vacant building registration fee and fines bylaw article for the
It was
I have
supposed to be the
Springtown
fall.
meetings
Yeah,
as
no,
the
it's
fall.
fall.
Yeah,
for the fall town meeting. Yeah, we decided spring was a little aggressive. Ken, we kind of left that in your capable hands to flesh out a little bit for us as we build towards that. Do you have anything, you're gonna take the Plainville bylaw example and perhaps refine that? Derek had some suggestions regarding, was it 40U or, I forget what term you used, Derek.
Yeah, that's
Basically
what
being
she's
able to give
asking if it was
tickets to
available
people.
For 40U, because it's, as nice as this is for the WRA to consider, we need to consider what it's doing to staffing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's as nice as this is for the WRA to consider, we need to consider what this is doing for staffing, for extra work, extra things like that.
Right,
Because it won't be the WRA doing it.
right.
Probably be inspectional services department.
Right.
Which is, so it's,
Yeah, basically it would be saying to the building commissioner, if you use Plainville's example, you'd be saying to the building commissioner, get out there and start inspecting these vacant properties and let's start levying fines if they're not being kept safe. And if they're a threat to the well-being of the neighborhood. So yes, it would probably
most
impose
likely
some
result
work on.
in at least a part-time employee having to be hired. So it needs to be able to fund itself.
Mhm.
And that's one of the things, because I know it seems simple. And if you do it occasionally or something like that, I'm sure it's fine, or if you can have somebody do the off hours, but the level of complaints I receive from departments already about their stress limits.
Right.
Those are just the types of things to consider, because it's nice, our decision-making here is in a vacuum, so to say, so it's just, I realize that, well, this is nice, and I'm sure there'll be some people that would be supportive of it, and there'll be some people that will kick the hell out of you, right, at town meeting, that we do need to know. That's what I'm trying to get the point across, is everything we're doing for the initiation is perfect. We need to make sure it can actually function and it can be done.
Right.
So those are just the types of things. So what's the carrot for the town on this, outside of you know, obviously we'd like to have some things cleaned up, but is the WRA, are we thinking about funding a new person or a part-timer for the first year or something, putting the money, and then the revenue goes to a revolving account so it can fund itself after if it works that way? Are we doing seed money? Cause it's,
Yeah, I would not see that.
yeah,
I don't think that would be appropriate or the right approach. It would have to be something that could stand alone, just like in Plainville. If the registration fees or whatever they are, I forget what it was, $100 or whatever. If those aren't enough to pay for an inspector to go out and take a look at the building, then maybe it's not practical.
Yeah.
Might not be worth using.
But maybe Plainville does a RARA account.
I'm sorry, maybe they what?
Maybe Plainville does a revolving account.
yeah.
They may have seeded it with money and they may have a revolving account.
And you may not be talking that many properties. Right here, we're talking only 5 vacant storefronts.
Well, it's not, I didn't think it was just Main
It's
Street.
not just Main Street,
No.
it is the town.
Yeah.
So the
Entire
Plainville
town.
one is every building in the town.
Yeah, well, you have several hundred in this town.
And I think that's an important question, because as Derek points out, some people are gonna think it's a great idea and some people are gonna beat the heck out of the idea. And if I was a homeowner and I had a vacant house, I wouldn't like this idea one bit. I wouldn't want the building inspector coming and looking at my house
And it's,
to tell me if it's safe or not and while I have it vacant. But if we limit it to commercial properties, then you eliminate that concern.
because I'll tell you, it's the thought process is, yep, call them up, we're going out there and inspecting it. Call today, call tomorrow, make the appointment, nobody shows up, can't get it, you survey the outside, you know, and then at that point, maybe you just,
Practical aspects of it.
yeah, you're just finding it's so there's sort of there's the rainbows and unicorns of what we're doing in here, which is the great stuff. And then there's sort of when the boots hit the ground of what the reality is.
Yeah, good point. I mean, I haven't called Plainville myself. I've only seen what Judith generated. Was that you, Judith? that
Yeah, I
pulled that
found
up?
it online.
Judith found it online. I'm sure there's a human in Plainville that knows an awful lot about this bylaw and how the building commissioner there probably could answer all the questions
Right.
that we could bring up in the next half hour. So I would think it requires more research for
Yeah.
sure.
Cause I hate asking town meeting for something and then it doesn't get accomplished.
Right.
You know, I just think that sort of sets us back in the eyes of, you know, the residents that came and supported something or
Right.
you know, or
Well, that's why we do need to be doing our homework on this. Is it working in Plainville?
right.
It may not be.
Good
So
point.
I think what we do is we put it on for the next agenda and let you do some homework and some legwork. Does it make sense?
Somebody
And
should do some homework and legwork on it, yeah?
is it going to be like one of these
Right,
and then the
Right.
time ticks down?
right.
What I mean by ticks down is things are getting cured
Right.
or is it an initial phase of a lot of work and then it.
Yeah, the
it sort
building
of
owners run
peters out?
around,
Right.
they
Right.
get their vacant storefronts filled. I'm not registering my vacant building now because I don't have to.
Is Plainville the one where the author?
Yeah,
Yeah. Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Okay.
So I think
so who's gonna do some more research?
He is.
we need,
Who,
no, I'm not
Dan?
doing it. I'm not doing it. No, I'm not doing it.
I have a question.
But it needs to be done, I think, if we, the WRA, contemplate being the,
Well, why
Yeah,
can't
I
he
will
do
one
do
of
some
the-
more research.
one of
on
the
it.
white
Maybe
horse
John
charging
can help
this
me out as
window.
well too.
then we do need to just do some homework.
Yeah,
Does the town possibly already have a mechanism to accomplish the intended goal that's not being applied?
I mean, are there ordinances, the building inspector
If the
could be-
building's unsafe and uninhabitable and a detriment to the neighborhood, doesn't it get a square red box with an X and a
That's from the
Board of
fire
Health
department.
fire
That-
condemned
department.
building and
That's
the fire
Red X is
department.
fire department, don't go in there. If in case of a fire, the firefighters do not go in there.
So,
okay,
But that doesn't mean that does nothing else, except maybe cancel insurance. So if your insurer comes by, takes a photo, your insurance would be canceled, but most likely in these scenarios, they probably don't have insurance on.
I guess,
Or they would have
Jim-
burnt it down already themselves.
Jim brings up a good point, Derek. If today a building downtown had rats jumping out of the windows and chasing kids down the street,
Board of
does the
Health.
town do anything about that?
Board of
Board
Health.
of Health,
Okay.
that's health.
so
And sometimes
that's kind of
health-
my point, is the conversation, are there 3 or 4 or 5 buildings in the town of Wareham that's got everybody irked, that they're looking for a vehicle to go get them? Is there an old retail store with the floor from the second floor falling into the first floor, and everybody's irked about it, and there's no vehicle, or is there a vehicle and it's just not, after these 3 or 4 buildings are rectified, do we have a bylaw or an ordinance on our hands that has, is only used as a weapon when somebody feels like screwing with somebody?
I think that's part of what.
I'm the guy that's gonna kick against the vacancy tax, cause I just think, there are property owners that responsibly have vacant buildings and maintain them. So that person certainly shouldn't be charged a tax for maintaining a property and seeking tenants or use. On the other hand, the person that owns a property, be it commercial or residential, I can think of multiple residential structures that stand and the trees and the weeds are growing up around them, you wouldn't even know they were there. Somebody could go in there and die and you wouldn't find them for years. They leave them existing to protect the footprint. Well, I'm all for going after that property and charging them with tear it down and make it safe, or you're gonna pay a penalty, but calling it a vacancy tax, I don't know, in my brain, it just doesn't sound that it can be applied equitably,
So I think that's a lot of what the homework will
Tell us.
will attempt to answer.
Well, what do you do about the business owner that maybe got approached for it could be Chippendale dancers or something like that, and they say, no, we're holding off, we want a better business for the community, we're part of the community. And if we say, well, we're gonna tax you $100 there, they're gonna say, well, get the bow ties on.
yeah, that's, you're gonna force lesser quality tenants to avoid a penalty.
But a lot of that is.
Income wise, that might be a great tenant for the
like
building
a-
owner or
yeah.
something, but not for the community.
Yeah, I'm playing a little bit devil's advocate, but I'm hearing, I know of buildings that are worth a ton of money that are vacant, and ownership maintains them, heats them, air conditions them, puts the lights on, has pest control, keeps the generator being serviced in case power goes out, plows the parking lot, and seeks appropriate tenancy. And I know of other buildings that, a good windstorm and you wouldn't wanna be standing next to it.
Yeah.
So I get the idea behind it, but I just wonder if we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
No, it won't solve everything. It could be issue, because we do have some business owners that, maybe somebody would move in there, but there needs to be some work done, and they're penny wise, pound foolish. Won't put $100K into a building that's several million, and say, well, that's up to you, and those other people can't afford to maybe go in there. I've seen one place go down that would have been nice to be revitalized, but the building owner, and I don't know what they're doing, because this is almost a year later, it's still vacant. And I was always told a bird in the hand, but I'm not a business owner.
Jim, I appreciate you bringing up, I appreciate you being the devil's advocate, because these are the kinds of questions that we need to explore, and we don't want to regretfully discern
Yes.
later on that we have unintended consequences.
I'm not sure if I'm right or wrong, it's in my brain and I'd rather voice it
Right.
and let you guys make a prudent decision.
Well, I think we're gonna do a little more research. We have an example in Massachusetts of Plainville that we found that has done this, so we can find out if it's worked or not. And it may be that they hit some bumps on the road that we could avoid if we were to go down this road, but
I wonder if sometimes, as you said, were these bylaws almost passed for a specific business or something like that? Cause every now and then, I wouldn't necessarily call them spite bylaws, but there's something going on
They're
in
very
the
targeted.
community that matters.
that could be too. We'll do more homework on that. I don't think we're gonna have a vote today on whether to move forward with this, so I'll move on to the next item. And I think we may be able to get you out of here on time, Judith. Discussion of possible vote on rescheduling March meetings to accommodate a virtual session with the Town of Hudson's Director of Planning and Economic Development and President of the Hudson Downtown Business Association. And thank you, Sarah, for working hard to get this coordinated, orchestrated, and trying to align schedules is difficult, I know. What Sarah has been able to do in her interaction with these officials in Hudson has given us at least one, I think, opportunity to maybe accommodate their schedule without changing ours too much. Instead of doing our fourth Thursday in March meeting, we could move it to the third Thursday, 20 March. Start the meeting at 10, and the officials in Hudson would be available by 11. So if we still went 2 hours, we'd go from 10 to noon on Thursday, March 20th, and we would make that second half of the meeting our opportunity to learn from Hudson. Well, what made them the best main street in America?
Mhm.
In what, 2021 was it?
Yeah.
2021. Sarah, did you want to elaborate on that at all before we
No,
discuss it some more?
no, that's everything I know. Those are the times that they're available, and I guess for some background with folks, that this was a town of Hudson was featured. I saw it on Chronicle, where they were named the America's best main street. And they started from a pretty down place with lots of shuttered businesses, and they're now a booming, vital main street. I just would like to find out how they got from here to there, because it sounds like they face some of the same challenges that we face, see how they overcame those hurdles, and how long it took them and all that good stuff, so.
So any other discussion, any objections to trying to shift our March schedules so that we can accommodate this
It's not an
interaction?
objection, I'm just not available that day. I've
At all?
already booked out negotiations, yeah, I'm probably from 11 to about 3 booked up,
Oh, you are, okay.
so
Well, we can
do it
do
without-
it without him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
I mean, I think if we've got most of Hudson ready to go and sort
It's
of,
more important to have that, you're more important to have Hudson, so I wouldn't
Right.
bank it around me, this is,
and also he can always watch the tape afterwards,
yeah.
Right, yeah, you could watch it afterwards.
or the video, or whatever
So
you
it
call
sounds
it.
like you're available, Judith, Sarah's available, I'm available. Mr. Buckland, does that work for you?
And
Mr. Oldham?
WCTV is all set too.
I'm sorry?
WCTV is all set too.
You can do it, John? All right. I think I'll call for a vote.
Okay.
All in favor of, well, I need a motion, I guess. Sarah, do you want to make a motion?
I move to reschedule our second March meeting to March 20th from 10 to noon to accommodate a virtual session with the Town of Hudson's Director of Planning and Economic Development and the President of Hudson Downtown Business Association.
Second,
Seconded by Judith Whiteside. Any discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Even though unavailable,
Even though not
Yeah, I am
available.
supportive of it.
Okay, 500, so we will adjust our March schedule. We'll have 2 meetings. Our regular meeting on 13 March, 9 to 11, and our second meeting, we will push up a week to Thursday, 20 March, 10 to noon. And Sarah, would you mind reaching out to your
No. I'll do that.
contacts at Hudson?
Yeah.
And Connor will have to make sure that we can Zoom them in.
Yeah, how does
for
that
that day.
work? How do I get a Zoom link?
I think John would know better.
Oh, John will take, okay, John's our expert on that.
So what are the logistics? When am I gonna have that to give to them?
I can get you a Zoom link today, send it over,
Okay.
and then you guys can share that with them, and then they'll be able to
Great, thank you.
communicate.
it'll have to go on the agenda.
Yeah.
As a Zoom link.
It does?
Mhm.
Why? We're not zooming the whole world in, we're just zooming them in.
You can, from my understanding, do a separate Zoom link for a specific individual. If
Okay.
it's not set up as a public Zoom link, you can make that decision if you want it to be a public Zoom
It's not a
link or
public
not.
meeting.
It
I mean,
doesn't
it's not a
have to be.
public hearing.
Then if that's the case, then no one else can speak.
Right.
Other than, in other words, somebody
the
who's
people here, but-
regularly, no, the
Just the
people who
people
have
here.
regularly contributed cannot speak. Cause it would then be it's not a public hearing, it's a hearing in public.
Right, it'd be like instead of them sitting where Ken's sitting, they're sitting behind that big screen up there.
Right, I understand that, but Jim can't talk. Jim can't ask questions. But it's a question of open meeting law violation. I'm sorry, we'll go there sometime.
All right, well, I'll catch you on the margins of the meeting, we can discuss that.
Yep.
Last item. Oh, no, excuse me, report from the Director of Planning, Ken, what do you have for the group today?
Well, on the Parker Mills Pond Dam, we had a meeting with the DOT to discuss the improvements that they need in the Route 28 and the Route 25 bridges that are upstream of the dam that would be affected by the lowering of the dam. And it turned out that it was a fairly amenable meeting. They were just looking for additional information, such as soil samples to determine the susceptibility to scour under the bridges. There's a wooden pile foundation on the Route 25 bridge crossing.
No.
Yes.
A wooden one, oh God. Oh,
You said it was an amenable meeting and they were just looking for a little information, did they sound like they're happy to foot the bill to fix the bridges if they need it, or
No decision was made on that.
show them up?
No decision was made
Not
on
that
that.
amenable.
So they weren't hostile?
Right, right.
Okay.
So I think what happens now is that
Was Fuss and O'Neill there?
yeah, Fuss and O'Neill was there and they were adding their technical expertise to it. We're at about 30% design now on the dam removal. 30% design on the dam removal, and we're going to go through some permitting exercises, natural heritage and historic, and just to see what the issues are there.
So what would be, so is that more about, I'm just trying to figure out which creatures would be impacting on it. Is it more just waterborne creatures? Cause I don't see us impacting moths,
No.
you know, so.
Yeah, no, it'd be the water features, that change as a result of the dam coming down.
If there's anything with the Army Corps, if they're considering that title or anything, get them now. Or the or Division of Marine Fisheries,
Right,
get them involved now.
right. And what I wanted to be doing is after this exercise is done is to go back to the state and renegotiate with them for the next phase of the design and the deconstruction as well.
The federal funds that are available.
That's why we're going to the state.
Yeah.
No, we had a meeting with MEMA as well too, on the
NEMA?
MEMA,
MEMA.
which is the Massachusetts Environmental Management
Emergency
Agency.
management. FEMA's emergency management.
Emergency management, yeah.
Our version of FEMA, our state FEMA.
Massachusetts FEMA, okay. MEMA.
I thought we were also talking with NOAA, because originally, in the original presentation, there was about 8 different bodies, corporate, that wanted to contribute to this.
Right, and we put in an application to NOAA
Okay,
as well too, and weren't successful in that one.
we're not,
We're not.
Does that affect continuing, moving forward with the project?
No, it doesn't. The state is still a source for, and maybe a better source for the funding. Make this happen.
Is there a timeline on when it will be done?
when you're 90.
Yeah,
That's the $64,000
state.
question, yeah.
Yeah, I think any timeline would be false
Yeah.
in that regard, so.
And is it affected at all by the co-ownership with Makepeace?
Yes, it is. And that has to be resolved before the state will put the full boat money into it.
Okay, thank you, Ken, for that update. Anything else?
Oh, on the MEMA conversation, this was for what's called a BRIC grant, BRIC, from FEMA. And it was to do a benefit cost analysis of the dam removal, so that would be eligible for funding by FEMA for the bigger funding. But because of the change in the administration, that's up in the air now at this point. And we're waiting for another notice of funding opportunity, NOFO, to come out that will explain what the administration wants to do and with FEMA money.
Okay.
So that's all I've got at this point.
Quick question, Ken. One WRA property has a tenant, Recovery Road, 4 Recovery Road.
That's correct.
Do we have an update on that tenant?
Yeah, that tenant has not been keeping up to date on rents.
I think that's one that you have in Mr. Buckland's office, that conversation.
Okay. Okay, is that something we can talk about later, Ken, to get a
Yes.
handle on that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Ken, thank you. Member comments, new initiatives. Ken, anything else as a
No.
comment or a new initiative?
Not at this time.
Mr. Sullivan?
No, sir.
Anything, sir? Ms. Corbett? Ms. Whiteside, General Whiteside?
The only comment I have is that the WRA and the town a couple of years ago got authorization for 5 additional liquor licenses on Main Street, specifically from Zecco Marine through Tremont Nail, in fact, property. And only 3 of those have been taken, and in the same time, 4 businesses have surrendered their liquor licenses in the town of Wareham.
So we now have
1 of
6.
them actually on Main Street. So
Were any of those site-specific ones, Judy?
none of those were site-specific.
Okay.
And we just recently had another surrender. So in the past year and a half, 5 liquor licenses have been either surrendered or taken away or for other reasons. So there are liquor licenses available, and specifically those on Main Street, and they have to be on Main Street. And Warren Enterprises took 1, the Barcade took another, and Mr. Alcalasi has been
Offered the
granted, no, he's actually gotten the license. It's just until the building is complete, he hasn't taken the license. But there are opportunities for those licenses.
How many are left then for Main Street?
We have, I think it's either 3 or 4.
3 or 4?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because that would be 2 left from that, but we've had the turn in from
Scarlet Rose. Right.
which wasn't a site specific, that was one of them. And then did we have another one on Main Street that got turned in?
No,
So we should have 3 then, right?
we should have 3 and possibly, I have to go back and look because it might have been 7, it might have been 5, and
But that's a
This-
great piece of information that I think Connor can use as he's trying to fill these storefronts on Main Street, because
It's
that's a
another
valuable.
incentive.
yeah, it's an incentive. You
And
want to
something
do,
for the website too.
right.
To, you know, if we can,
And there's a
We should-
time limit on when they can be used, and I'll show you the legislation so you can get it right.
Please.
yeah, well, the main thing is actually to show the zone. I
Yeah.
mean, even if just taking off of GIS and
Right.
linking in the zone, saying this area. has this available. It is a marketing. And maybe it's letting, the canal chamber know for
Yeah.
things like that, so.
So it's a tool that can be used not only by WRA, but by the town in general.
Yeah, it's funny, everybody fought so hard for these, and it's the first time we've seen them turn back. It's why we lost out on a couple businesses, cause it took so long to get the Commonwealth to provide them.
Really?
That's why we've always talked about local control of liquor licenses and such. The fact that they have to go up to Beacon Hill can be pretty brutal.
Scarlet Rose was not one of the one under special ed
Okay.
legislation.
So that's one available for the whole town too, so I'd say
That's correct.
anything that's going on Main Street, we should try and use up the special legislation liquor licenses before one
Right.
that's available to.
So right now, I would say we have 2 on Main Street and 5.
2 + 5, 2 on Main Street.
That's
okay.
that's what it looks like. Now,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that we have to issue them. It's up to the local licensing authority to issue them, and they can choose not to.
That's you, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that's good information for Connor to use as he's marketing and collaborating with downtown property owners to try to market those properties.
Yep.
Judith, thank you.
Yeah, whatever you can send me on specifics.
yeah, walk down the hall with me, and, you know,
Okay.
I'll give you a copy of the
And-
legislation.
Sorry, Judith, anything else?
No, that was,
Nope. Okay, correspondence, Mr. Buckland, anything?
Correspondence.
No correspondence. And we'll jump to approving prior meeting minutes for February 13th, 2025. If you've had a chance to look over the minutes, I want to thank Ms. Whiteside again for her usual thorough job in crafting the minutes. They captured, I thought, well, what we did on that day. Do I hear any discussion?
Yeah, I wanted to find some improper English in it to throw it back at Judy, but I could not. So,
Not gonna happen.
It's hard to find with Judith, with her product. Okay, hearing no further discussion, all in favor of approving the minutes for February 13th?
well, did you have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
One
Sorry.
second.
I have a motion from, I hear a motion from Derek. And do I hear a second?
Ken seconded it.
And Sarah, thank you. All in favor of approving the minutes for February 13th meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it passes unanimously. Do I hear
Motion to
a?
adjourn.
Second.
I made a motion to adjourn at
Okay,
10:10.
Judith Whiteside.
10:08.
Okay, all in favor of adjourning our meeting at 10:09, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, we are adjourned, thank you, at 10:09.
You want it at 9 or 10?
Thank you,
That says
Hadassah.
8. I don't care.
I have 10:09.
Okay.